There comes a moment in your life when everything changes. Not because the world shifts, not because luck finds you, but because something inside you refuses to settle any longer. A moment when average becomes unbearable. When comfort feels like a cage. When the life you're living no longer matches the life you're meant to have. Most people ignore that moment. They silence it with excuses, drown it in distractions, bury it under routine. But a rare few. They listen. And what they discover is dangerous. Because the difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise to the top of the world is not talent, not intelligence, not even opportunity. It's obsession. The kind of obsession that consumes your thoughts, sharpens your focus, and turns your vision into a mission that cannot be ignored. The kind that transforms ordinary people into unstoppable forces. So the question is not whether you can succeed. The question is, are you ready to become obsessed enough that failure is no longer an option? There is a fire inside you that refuses to go out. You've felt it before, late at night when the world is quiet, when distractions fade and your mind begins to whisper truths you can't ignore. It speaks in images, in visions of a life that feels just out of reach. It doesn't beg for your attention. It demands it. And yet, most people silence that fire. They call it unrealistic. They call it obsession. They call it dangerous. But what if that voice, that restless, unrelenting pull towards something greater, is not your weakness? What if it is the very thing that separates the wealthy from the average, the fulfilled from the forgotten, the creators from the consumers? Because here is the truth no one dares to say out loud. Success is not born from balance. It is born from obsession. Not the chaotic, self-destructive kind, but a focused, disciplined, all-consuming clarity that grips your mind so tightly that failure is no longer an option. The kind of obsession that wakes you up before the alarm. The kind that keeps you going when logic says stop. The wealthy understand this. They don't dabble in their dreams. They don't flirt with ambition. They commit to it with a level of intensity that most people would find uncomfortable, even frightening. Because obsession, when directed, becomes power. But here is where most people get it wrong. They think obsession is about working harder, grinding longer, sacrificing endlessly. No. Obsession begins in the mind. Before a single action is taken, before a single step forward is made, there must be a shift, a transformation in how you see yourself and the world around you. You must begin to believe that what you want is not only possible, but inevitable. This is the first secret. Belief is not a passive state. It shapes your perception. It filters your reality. It determines what you notice, what you ignore, what you pursue, and what you abandon. If you believe success is distant, you will act cautiously. If you believe it is reserved for others, you will hesitate. If you believe you are not ready, you will wait. And waiting is the silent killer of greatness. But when belief becomes absolute, when you see your vision not as a possibility, but as a certainty, your actions begin to align in ways that feel almost supernatural. Opportunities appear. Ideas flow. Energy multiplies. It's not magic. It's alignment. The wealthy don't just think differently. They decide differently. They decide that their vision is non-negotiable. And from that decision, obsession is born. Clarity follows. Because you cannot be obsessed with something vague. You cannot dedicate your life to something undefined. The average mind drifts. It chases trends, reacts to circumstances, follows the crowd. But the obsessed mind focuses. It locks onto a target with precision and refuses to look away. What do you want? Not in general terms. Not success or happiness or freedom. What exactly do you want? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does your life become when you achieve it? Until you can see it clearly, so clearly that it feels real, you are not ready. Because clarity is the blueprint of obsession. And obsession is the engine of success. Look at the great builders of the world. They didn't stumble into greatness. They were consumed by a vision so powerful that it shaped every decision they made. They saw what others could not see. They believed when others doubted. They persisted when others quit. Not because they were special, but because they were focused. And focus, when sustained over time, becomes unstoppable. But focus alone is not enough. There must be purpose. Because without purpose, obsession becomes empty. It becomes a hollow pursuit of achievement without meaning. Purpose gives direction to your obsession. It anchors it. It fuels it. It answers the question, why does this matter? And when your why is strong enough, the how becomes irrelevant. You will find a way. You will adapt. You will learn. You will grow. Because purpose transforms effort into devotion. And devotion is where the real transformation begins. This is where discipline enters. Not the forced, rigid discipline of obli. You will find a way. You will adapt. You will learn. You will grow. Because purpose transforms effort into devotion. And devotion is where the real transformation begins. This is where discipline enters. Not the forced, rigid discipline of obligation, but the natural discipline that arises when you are deeply committed to something that matters. When you are obsessed, discipline is no longer a struggle. You don't have to convince yourself to act. You act because not acting feels wrong. You move because standing still becomes unbearable. This is the shift. This is the moment where success stops being a distant dream and starts becoming a lived reality. Because action, consistent, focused, intentional action, is the bridge between vision and achievement. But understand this, the path will not be smooth. There will be resistance. There will be doubt. There will be moments when the fire dims, when the vision feels distant. When the weight of the journey becomes almost too much to carry. This is where most people break. Not because they lack ability, but because they lack resilience. They expect the path to validate their efforts. They expect progress to be immediate. They expect results to come quickly. And when they don't, they question everything. But the wealthy, the truly successful, understand something deeper. They understand that resistance is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are moving in the right direction. Because growth is uncomfortable. Transformation is painful. And the process of becoming requires you to leave behind the person you used to be. This is the price. And obsession, when guided by belief, clarity, purpose, and discipline, is what allows you to pay it, without hesitation, without regret, without turning back. Because once you understand this formula, once you internalize it, once you begin to live it, you are no longer chasing success. You are becoming it. And the world, whether it realizes it or not, will have no choice but to respond.